Kazuya was a weak, ugly bum whose sister got unalived by aliens, so he enrolls in a training academy to get stronger and avenge her death. However, everything changes on his first day when he meets the strongest girl in school and abandons his mission to raise her up instead. Everything started when aliens called Nova attacked the Earth and threatened world peace, but humans responded by creating enhanced females called Pandoras to defeat the invaders. However, young Kazuya was devastated that his sister was one of the Pandoras selected to fight in the war, and she ended up sacrificing herself for everyone to live. A few years pass and Kazuya decides to transfer into the same academy his sister graduated from, to help humanity in the fight against Novas. On the day of the transfer, Kazuya is at his sister's graveyard, when Chiffon, the academy's council president, arrives in a chopper to pick him up. On the trip to the academy, Chiffon explains that the academy only accept Pandoras, who then team up with male combatants, called limiters, to effectively fight and defeat Novas. Shortly after, Kazuya arrives at the academy and allows Chiffon to show him around. On the way, a crazy chick named Ganessa suddenly crashes from a roof, and another girl named Satella jumps from the roof to finish her off. As Kazuya sees Satella, he mistakes her for his late sister and rushes to hug her, which makes both of them fall, and Kazuya's face gets stuck between Satella's milk cans, because bro loves milk. This diabolical physical contact initiates freezing, which is something that happens when gifted students of the opposite gender are in sync. Seizing the opportunity, Ganessa launches an attack on Satella that ends their battle. From the academy's control room, the top officials wonder how a new student like Kazuya can trigger freezing with Satella, but Principal Margaret isn't surprised because she knows who Kazuya is. Later on, word spreads around the academy that the almighty Satella has lost to Ganessa. Everyone is in shock because Satella is the untouchable queen and hasn't lost a fight to anyone, but now this loss demotes her to the second-ranked Year 2 student. The following day, Kazuya is getting schooled by Chiffon, the student council president, because he caused Satella's loss. Kazuya feels bad about this and roasts himself for being an idiot for thinking his sister is still alive. Feeling bad about what he's done, he asks to see Satella because he wants to apologize, but Chiffon is against this because Satella is bad news. She advises him to transfer to another academy if he wants to keep his life, because it's common knowledge that Satella cooks anyone who touches her. Speaking of the devil, Satella is walking behind them, so Chiffon's mouth enters airplane mode. Kazuya doesn't take the hint, so he grabs Satella by the hand and insists on talking to her, leaving her completely shocked. The contact triggers a memory of when she was a little girl, but it startles her, and she falls to the ground. When she recovers and tries to leave, Kazuya holds her hand again and tries to apologize for causing her recent loss, but the physical contact makes her floodgates twitch and her cheeks turn red. When she recovers, she warns Kazuya to stay away from her and threatens him with her weapon to show she's serious. All of a sudden, Ganessa arrives and starts laughing at Satella for drawing her weapon against a defenseless student. Hearing this raises Satella's rage meter like oil prices, so she shoots Ganessa a deadly side-eye as a warning to shut up. Ganessa doesn't take the hint, so she starts bragging that she's the top-ranked student and that Satella can have fun with a disgusting partner like Kazuya because no guy will be stupid enough to form a team with her. She then challenges Satella to a fight, thinking it'll be a way to show the other students watching that she's superior. Realizing Satella will accept the challenge, Chiffon reminds both students that fighting outside the Academy's Carnival Festival is illegal, but she gets ignored like Ice Spice's music career. Right then, Ganessa spawns her Volt Chains to attack Satella, but she fails to hit her target 3 times in a row. As the smoke clears, Ganessa sees that Satella is aura farming for the other students to see, so she gets pissed and carelessly goes for a shot. While remaining calm and composed, Satella uses her weapon to block all incoming chains, and she makes Ganessa's uniform take damage to allow the boys a good view. Ganessa falls weakly to the ground from the counterattack, but the thought of Satella embarrassing her in public causes her to get up and activate her full power. As she does, Chiffon begs her to stop because her form is only meant for live combat against aliens and not humans, but Ganessa refuses to listen. She then radiates a huge wave of energy that blasts Satella several feet away, but Kazuya catches Satella before she can fall to the ground. Although Satella hates physical contact with anyone, something about Kazuya's touch makes her feel comfortable. The whole thing makes her lower her guard, so Ganessa takes advantage of the opening to tie her up with chains. Ganessa promises to slice Satella to pieces as payback for humiliating her earlier. Once she's done, she tries to chop off Satella's arm, so Kazuya gets fed up with everything and tells her to stop. Ganessa looks at him like an insect and slaps him in the face to get him out. However, When his blood touches Satella's figures her power, so she activates it and breaks free from Ganessa's chains. The energy burst from that sends Ganessa crashing to the ground, and she becomes terrified when she sees how powerful Satella has become. With her ego on the line, she tries to pull a fast one on Satella to win their fight, but Satella sees through her and counters with a nasty strike. All the students watching are shocked to their bones because it only took one hit for Ganessa to go down in her overpowered form. Satella, however, proceeds to finish the job, but that's when the Academy's instructors, Yumi and Elise, show up and tell her to stand down. Seeing that Kazuya is safe, Satella powers down and gets arrested for breaking the Academy's rules alongside Ganessa. A little later, Kazuya receives a student handbook from Principal Margaret, telling him about the need to form a partnership with any second-year female student. She advises him to be a good partner to whoever he picks, and then assigns him to a room in the boys' dormitory. Getting there, Kazuya is greeted by his blonde neighbor named Arthur, who is also a first-year student. After Arthur introduces himself, Kazuya asks him about Satella, so he warns Kazuya against having anything to do with Satella. He believes that Satella doesn't trust male partners, and to form a pact with someone like that is suicidal. He then starts bragging about his female partner, saying that she's strong and beautiful, but when he reveals that his partner is Ganessa, Kazuya is left speechless. Later on, Kazuya lies in bed and wonders why he thought that Satella was his late sister. Meanwhile, Satella is in the bathroom, thinking about Kazuya touching her. Around midnight, Miyabi, a third-year student, is getting the Diddy treatment from her male partners when she receives intel about Kazuya. When she looks him up, she gets interested in him and looks forward to making him join her party. The following day, Kazuya is assigned to his new class, but it's mostly girls, and some of them are already thirsting after him. All the while, Arthur is at the infirmary taking care of Ganessa because she's hurt from her previous fight. Since Arthur doesn't know about her recent fight with Satella, he asks why she's been hospitalized when she just won the Academy's tournament, but Ganessa yells that it's none of his business. During lunch, Kazuya's new classmate named Hiragi meets him and shows him around the cafeteria. Kazuya likes the place because he wasn't expecting this Academy's food standards to be so high, so Hiragi explains that it's one of the perks of being in a gifted school. While they have lunch together, Hiragi asks Kazuya why he stood up for Satella yesterday, so he says it's because he caused her to lose the tournament. Just then, Arthur arrives, so Hiragi whispers to Kazuya that he shouldn't say anything about causing Satella to lose the tournament to Ganessa. She also advises him against having anything to do with Satella, because rumors say she's crazy, but Kazuya isn't falling for this. Just then, Satella arrives at the cafeteria to have lunch, and her aura gives all the students goosebumps. Kazuya is the exception because he's the only one with functioning footballs, and everyone is shocked when he holds Satella's hand. Satella drops her food because she's shy, but as she walks away, Kazuya picks up her lunch and chases after her. When he finds her on the rooftop, he returns her lunch, and then apologizes for sabotaging her fight with Ganessa, and for also breaking the Academy's rules to save him. Hearing this, Satella says she only saved him because he tried saving her, so Kazuya smiles and compliments her for being kind. He then begs her to be his partner, but this takes Satella by surprise. Before she can react, Miyabi arrives and mocks Satella for performing a baptism in a place like this. By now, Hiragi and Arthur are eavesdropping on what's going on, and Hiragi tells Arthur that Miyabi likes baptizing pretty boys to join her party. Back down, Satella gets up and decides to leave, so Kazuya tries to follow her, but Miyabi holds him back. She declares her intentions of baptizing him to make him one of her male partners, but Kazuya says he isn't interested. Doing this hurts Miyabi's ego, so she tells her boys to stop him from leaving. As a result, Satella draws her sword on Miyabi, promising to show her pain if she lays a single finger on Kazuya. Hearing this, Hiragi and Arthur are shocked because it's suicide for a Year 2 student to be up against a Year 3. Before they know it, Miyabi grabs Satella, slams her on the floor, and then summons floating daggers to fight. As Satella recovers, she manages to block all of Miyabi's attacks, so Miyabi ups the ante by activating the Acel skill that speeds her up. Just when Miyabi is about to get a clean shot, Satella activates her Acel skill and dodges. After a brief aerial collision, Miyabi compliments Satella for using a skill only unique to Year 3 students, but then tries to end her with one devastating speed strike. To her shock, Satella counters like it's nothing and gets a clean slice on Miyabi's face. Seeing blood rushing down her face, Miyabi's mental health falls like your morning wood, so she orders her three male partners to cast freezing on Satella and Kazuya, which prevents them from moving. Satella shocks everyone by jumping out of the freezing field, but when she tries to save Kazuya, Miyabi shoots her with multiple daggers, which causes her to fall. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Miyabi punches Satella until she starts bleeding and even forces her to apologize for defying her. Satella agrees to this on the condition that Kazuya is spared, but Miyabi gives her the middle finger and slices open Satella's balloon cover. She then orders her boys to deal with Kazuya while she takes her time squeezing Satella of milk. Doing this causes Satella to make cultural sounds, but Miyabi likes it and wants to make her look like a hoe. She exposes Satella's silky garments and lets the boys see her floodgates, but takes it too far when she lets the boys take pictures of Satella to spread around the school. Just then, Kazuya gets fed up with the humiliation and surprisingly activates a freezing barrier that counters Miyabi's boys. He then casts a freezing barrier around Miyabi, which shocks her because it isn't possible to cast freezing without forming a pact with a female partner. However, she doesn't know that Satella has recovered and is out to beat her up. A bit later, Chiffon receives intel about what's going on at the rooftop, so she dashes to see what's going on. When she gets there, she sees that Satella is inches away from turning Miyabi into a corpse and that the boys are already unconscious. Although Miyabi apologizes to Satella and begs for her life, Satella is still eager to finish her off. Even when Chiffon orders her to drop her weapon, she refuses, not until Yume and Elise personally show up to stop her. As they try to use force, Kazuya casts a freezing barrier around them and then tries to talk some sense into Satella. As he recalls the kind words of his late sister, Kazuha, he tells Satella that she isn't meant to be using her powers against her comrades, but rather to defend humanity against the Nova threat. Hearing this, Satella powers down and spares Miyabi, but a third-year student watching from a distance isn't pleased with what just went down. Later on, Yumi and Elise run a background check on Kazuya and realize that he's related to the late Kazuha. What makes him special is that his sister, while alive, could incubate 24 alien nodes called stigmata, which was the source of her power. Now Kazuya has that same ability, and it allows him to trigger freezing without having a female partner. This discovery comes as a shocker to Elise, who questions if Kazuya knows what he is capable of, but Yume tells her that she's sure he doesn't know the truth about himself. Around sunset, Chiffon sternly advises Kazuya not to get involved with Satella because her recent opponent was a third-year student, and she now has a target on her back because the third years wouldn't let Miyabi's defeat slide. Elsewhere, Ingrid, a top-ranking third-year student, clears a high-level Nova target in a simulation battle training. On her way out of the arena, she gets confronted by her colleague, Atia, who tells her to handle Satella. A few years ago, Ingrid was forced to watch her closest friend, Marin, die in her arms after a Nova alien attack, and even in the present, she keeps replaying this sad memory in her head. About a week later, Yumi releases Satella from the Academy's prison because she's done serving her time. On the way to her dorm, Satella gets confronted by Ingrid, who challenges her to a battle schedule for tomorrow and advises her to get a male partner before then. Satella is down for the match and walks away, but she doesn't know that Hiragi overheard the conversation. Right after, Hiragi appears in Kazuya's dorm room and spills the beans. This makes Arthur point out that tomorrow's match will be suicide for Satella because Ingrid is the 7th-ranked third year, and she stands no chance. Hiragi suspects that Satella might come begging Kazuya to be her partner, so she advises Kazuya against accepting. Rather than listen, Kazuya exits the room and heads out to find Satella. Satella, however, is in the shower, thinking about the times that Kazuya has touched her. Soon, Kazuya reaches her room and lets himself in after knocking. Noticing that Satella isn't in sight, he gets tempted to read her diary, but stops at the last minute. That's when Satella enters the room and assumes that he's after her diary, so she jumps on her bed to grab it. Doing this makes her fall on top of Kazuya, which then leads to exposing her milk cannons. Kazuya sees this and figures this is what men fight for, so he decides that he'll keep coming to this room to make her domain expand. She asks Kazuya what he's doing in her room, so the dude asks if she's made up her mind about making him her partner. Satella replies that she doesn't need anyone, but this pisses Kazuya off because she has a serious match scheduled for tomorrow. He insists that she needs a partner to fight with, but she replies that she doesn't need someone like him and tells him to leave. At night, Satella sneaks into Ingrid's dorm room to take her by surprise, but Ingrid realizes she's there. When Ingrid asks why she's attempting to do something stupid, Satella tells her it's best to strike when she's away from her partner. Ingrid smirks after hearing this and slams Satella's head into a wall, saying that she isn't weak without her partner. Satella manages to break free from her grasp, but as they officially start fighting, she soon realizes that she is no match for Ingrid. Their impromptu fight draws attention from the students who are still awake, but only Kazuya suspects that a fight might be going down. Back outside, Satella begins to regret why she accepted Ingrid's challenge as she gets beaten and punched to the ground. When Satella recovers, she settles on using her acel skill to land multiple speed attacks on Ingrid, but Ingrid sees her coming and blocks like it's nothing. She then activates the Tempest Turn skill that allows her to create multiple clones of herself. When she attacks, Satella struggles to block, so she gets beaten again and tossed to the floor. Just then, Leo, Ingrid's partner, arrives to join Ingrid because he heard she was in a fight. With Satella outnumbered, Ingrid reminds her that she needs a partner for this fight, and even offers one last chance for her to secure one. Since none of the boys want to be Satella's partner, Kazuya steps up and volunteers for the role, leaving Ingrid shocked. Before resuming the fight, Ingrid makes it clear to Kazuya that by taking Satella's side he's going against the Academy's authority. But Kazuya says he doesn't care about that and his only concern is making sure Satella doesn't get beaten up. Satella is shocked to hear this and wonders why this dude keeps turning up for her. So Kazuya just says he wants to help. He asks to get baptized to become Satella's official partner, but Satella refuses because the baptism ritual involves getting diddly, and she's shy to do it. Kazuya curiously asks to confirm if the baptizing ritual is that bad, but Ingrid claims it isn't, and that it's only meant to keep partners' minds and senses in sync. Immediately, Leo triggers a freezing shield around Satella, allowing Ingrid an opening to strike. Just as she's about to land a fatal blow, Kazuya counters the freezing field, so Ingrid decides to go after him. Satella attacks her on the spot, so she gets pissed and asks Satella why she's bent on disrupting the Academy's order. In response, Kazuya asks why she's so focused on maintaining discipline, but she tells him to zip it. In anger, she attacks Satella and starts fighting her like they've been beefing since birth. On the other hand, Ganesa arrives and tells Kazuya the truth about Ingrid. She says Ingrid believes she must maintain discipline in the Academy because of the incident that occurred with Marin, her late bestie, about a year ago. Back then, a ranking tournament was held in the Academy to build experience for first-year students. While it was going down, an S-ranked Nova appeared and defeated lots of students, which caused the survivors to break formation. Marin was the one who stood to hold off the Nova long enough for reinforcements to arrive, but by the time Ingrid showed up, it was already too late. Presently, Ganesa narrates this tale and adds that Ingrid thinks Marin wouldn't have died if the students didn't break formation, which explains why she's bent on discipline. With this, Kazuya joins the battle again and uses his freezing abilities to restrain Ingrid's movements. Satella then uses the opportunity to attack Leo, but as she goes after Ingrid, the chick unlocks her full power, which allows her to move even within Kazuya's freezing field. As she charges to attack Satella, Kazuya intensifies his freezing field, which causes her to fall to the ground. As she struggles to stand, Kazuya tells her that Marin didn't die in vain. And Ganesa proves this point by explaining that Marin was only trying to save the first-year students from the Nova since they didn't have male partners to fight. Hearing this, Ingrid recalls her last moments with Marin and realizes that Marin was still concerned about the first years, even at the point of death. This makes her realize that all the anger she's bottled up for a year has been pointless, and she starts crying. Before walking away, Satella stops to thank Ganesa for talking to Ingrid, but Ganesa claims she didn't do it for her. After that, Kazuya thanks Satella for saving his life and notes that this is the second time, but hearing this makes Satella's cheeks turn red. The following day, a gifted girl named Rana is summoned by the high priests of her village and is picked as the destined one to go out into the world. Meanwhile, at the Academy, Yu-Mei is delivering a lecture about Novas and their origins. She explains that Novas can trigger a freezing field, and the role of a male partner in combat is to act like a limiter and neutralize the Nova's freezing area and create a field for their female partners to move freely. Hearing this, Hiragi starts staring at Kazuya, wondering how he can trigger a freezing field without being baptized. After classes, she asks him how he did it yesterday, but he's clueless. He says that he only wanted to protect Satella and doesn't know how he triggered the freezing. Hiragi then asks if Satella thanked him for saving her life, and when Kazuya mentions that Satella didn't, Hiragi makes a big deal about it. Arthur also chips in that nothing good can come out of Satella, but that's when Satella shows up to talk to Kazuya. Although she heard everything that was said, she remains composed and politely asks to speak to Kazuya. After getting to the rooftop, she softens up and tells Kazuya that she feels too comfortable letting him touch her. Kazuya replies that he also feels something for her, but he doesn't know how to describe it. Realizing that Kazuya can use freezing without being contracted to anyone, she agrees to let him be her partner. She says she doesn't want to baptize him because she's shy. So Kazuya says he's cool with it. In the meantime, Rana arrives at the academy because she wants to enroll and find the person that's meant for her. During break period, while Satella and Kazuya are having lunch, Satella summons the courage to invite Kazuya to her dorm tonight. Although the request takes Kazuya by surprise, he accepts and looks forward to what she has planned for him. Around sunset, Kazuya is walking back from the classroom area when he bumps into Rana on campus. Kazuya sees her and wonders who she is because her clothes are familiar. Meanwhile, Rana sees him and jumps to suffocate him with her balloons because she's finally found someone to talk to. From there, Kazuya shows her the way to the principal's office and realizes she's a new student. At the office door, Rana thanks him for the help and says she's grateful to Goddess Kunlun for allowing her to meet someone like him. While Kazuya wonders who Kunlun is, he recalls that it's almost time for him to see Satella, so he heads out to prepare for the meet. On the way, he tells Hiragi and Arthur that he's now Satella's partner. The whole thing comes as a shocker to Hiragi because it's unusual to have a partner without getting baptized, since it leads to a vague relationship where both parties involved aren't in sync. To this, Kazuya replies that Satella has already invited him to her room to spend the night, leaving Hiragi shocked. The girl tells him that when partners meet at night, they share a good time, and things can get tense. Arthur confirms this because he spent the night with Ganessa before, although he remarks that he was drunk at the time and can't recall what happened. On reaching the female dorm, Kazuya bumps into 3 girls who ask to confirm if he's Satella's partner. As Kazuya says yes, the girls gang up to beat him, so Hiragi charges in and tries to get them to stop. Their leader, Audrey, refuses, so Hiragi realizes they are the ones who lost to Satella in the last tournament. She pieces things together and tries to warn Kazuya that he is a target, but Therese, one of the girls, attacks her from the back. Therese claims she's torturing Hiragi for disrespecting her seniors, but Kazuya knows that's only an excuse to beat her up. Realizing this, Hiragi gets pissed and activates her powers to fight Therese, but despite her anger, she fails to land a single hit. Therese gets bored of her and counters with a deadly slash that knocks her out on the spot. Realizing that this can get worse, Arthur leaves to call an instructor, but Aika, another girl, stops him and beats him up. In the meantime, Rana finishes at the principal's office and is walking down to the girls' dormitory. There, Arthur is tied up and screaming for his life because Aika is using her feet to see how strong his sacks are. Hiragi is also in pain, and their combined yelling pisses Kazuya off until he eventually snaps. He warns Audrey to order her girls to stop, but when she refuses, Kazuya casts a freezing field that restricts all the girls from moving. By now, Rana has already reached the dorm, and her Nova senses start tingling because Kazuya is using his powers. However, Kazuya struggles to maintain his freezing field, so he passes out from the energy drain. With him unconscious, Audrey and her girls regain their mobility, but they become terrified of Kazuya because Satella will be unstoppable if she completes her contract with him. As a result, they decide that they'll finish Kazuya off, but before that can happen, Rana arrives and stops Audrey with one hand. Rana tells Audrey to back off because Goddess Kunlun has told her that Kazuya is hers, but Audrey thinks she's tripping. Therese and Aika try to pull a fast one on Rana, but Rana moves like an airbender, evading all their attacks one by one until she slams them on the ground. When Ik recovers, she stands down because fighting Rana isn't worth it. Meanwhile, Atiya watches how everything plays out and finds Rana interesting. A bit later, Satella is in her room, struggling to pick what she'll wear to spend the night with Kazuya, when Arthur knocks on her door and tells her what's happened. That evening, she races to the infirmary and finds Rana sitting there. So Arthur tells her that Rana helped save Kazuya. When she asks about Kazuya, Rana assures her that he's fine and that they'll be able to see him very soon. After she introduces herself as a new student, Arthur reads the room and drags her away to prevent her from waiting to see Kazuya. In their absence, the doctors arrive and tell Satella that Kazuya is always putting himself under stress. They assure her that he'll live because he's only fatigued and is sure to recover soon. Satella is relieved after hearing this and rushes to see how Kazuya is doing. In the meantime, Rana is telling Arthur and Hiragi why she's here at this academy. She explains that her people sent her to find her destined one, and even shows off her 6 implanted stigmata. Arthur is shocked to see this, but realizes it's the reason she's so strong. He also understands that Rana's people sent her here, because this academy has lots of gifted guys she can pair with. However, Rana says she has already found her partner, and it's Kazuya. Hearing this, Arthur tells her to pick someone else because Kazuya is taken and his partner is Satella. All the while, Atiya and some other third-year girls are talking about Kazuya and Rana, who just arrived at the academy. The following morning, Kazuya wakes up to find Satella lying next to him and is shocked that she spent the night with him. When Satella tries to leave, Kazuya apologizes for not making it to her room last night, but Satella brushes it off as no big deal because they just spent a night together. Later that morning, Rana is assigned to a class with the Year 2 students, so she decides to sit beside Satella. She then introduces herself to Satella and makes it clear that she's into Kazuya because he's her chosen one. Hearing this annoys Satella, but she keeps her feelings in check to avoid doing something stupid. During sports period, Satella sits alone, wondering what Rana meant when she said Kazuya was her chosen one. Before her is Rana and a bunch of Year 2 girls who are in line for a practice match. The instructor sets Rana up against Ganesa for a sparring match, and Ganesa thinks it'll be a walkover. As the match starts, she summons her chains and uses them to land multiple attacks on Rana, but Rana easily blocks, leaving both Satella and Ganesa shocked. Right after, Rana charges at Ganesa and lands an aerial kick on her chest that exposes her flat board. As Rana is about to land the next hit, Ganesa figures she's a close-range fighter and predicts what she's about to do. After blocking the attack, she goes all out on Rana to finish her off with a slashing attack. As the smoke clears, she's shocked to see that Rana doesn't have any fatal wounds, but before she can strike again, Rana is already before her with a deadly punch. Thankfully, the instructor ends the sparring match because they've exhausted their time, so everyone starts flocking around Rana because she could keep up with the top-ranked Year 2 student. Watching from a distance, 2 third-year students, Creo and Arnett, realize that Rana is strong, so they join Atiya to cook up a dirty plan. That afternoon, when Kazuya joins Arthur and Hiragi for lunch, they are both happy that he's recovered. Again, they warn him against teaming up with Satella, because she's the reason he got jumped by Audrey's crew. Arthur also points out that Satella wounded a guy in her previous school beyond the point of recovery and was forced to transfer to this academy. As Hiragi confirms this story, Kazuya becomes suspicious and asks what happened back then. According to Arthur, Satella was in the East Branch of this academy, where a guy named Brooks was schooling. He was famous because his abilities as a male partner were exceptional. Plus, he had the looks, and girls often lined up to call him daddy at night. However, he became Satella's partner and ended up wounded to the point where he couldn't function as a gifted partner anymore. After hearing this story, Rana arrives at the table and is all over Kazuya because she's happy that he has recovered. Reading the room, Arthur and Hiragi both form excuses to leave so Rana can have fun with Kazuya. In their absence, Rana begs Kazuya to stop addressing her as senior, even though she's a class ahead of him. At first, Kazuya refuses, but with Rana pressing her milk jugs against him, he eventually folds. Just then, Satella arrives and finds Rana in an interesting position with Kazuya. Although she finds it weird that Kazuya is already calling Rana by name, she acts like she doesn't care and asks to speak to Kazuya in private. As Kazuya leaves, Hadia arrives and asks to eat with Rana. She then brings up Kazuya and tries to push a narrative that he's suffering in Satella's hands. All the while, Satella is on the rooftop, begging Kazuya to stop addressing her like a senior student. She begs him to call her by her first name because she's jealous of Rana, but Kazuya isn't comfortable with it. Around sunset, Kazuya retires to his dorm room to rest, while Rana finishes her conversation with Atiya. Before now, Atiya told her that Satella is only interested in Kazuya because he can trigger a freezing field without forming a pact with anyone, and she's sure Satella is only entertaining Kazuya for his power. Presently, Rana thinks about this and is convinced that Satella is a threat and might dump Kazuya if he isn't useful anymore. So that evening, she shows up unannounced at Satella's dorm and asks her to join her for a walk. At the same time, Kazuya realizes that he still hasn't made a proper visit to Satella's room, so he heads out to find her. Later that evening, Rana leads Satella to the training arena and tells her to stay away from Kazuya. Hearing this, Satella wonders what she's on, so Rana calls her out for not doing a baptism ritual with Kazuya. Rana then declares that Kazuya is hers and she'll perform the baptism ritual with him to strengthen their bond, but Satella tells her that Kazuya is hers already. When she's asked why she hasn't baptized Kazuya, she declines answering the question, claiming it's a personal decision. Since Rana isn't buying it, she lays hands on Satella, which earns her a slap on the face. Rana returns the favor and proposes a duel, stating that the winner gets to keep Kazuya while the loser will back off for life. Meanwhile, at the female dorm, Kazuya notices that Satella isn't in her room, But on his way out, he overhears two students saying that Satella is with Rana at the training arena. At the arena, Hadia is smiling as she watches Satella battle it out with Rana. Since Rana has the advantage in close-range combat, Satella activates her Acel skill and uses it to land multiple speed attacks on Rana. Rana evens the fighting grounds by activating the Wings of Light skill that boosts her agility and strength. When Satella tries to attack, she gets countered easily and starts wondering what kind of skill Rana is using against her. As they clash again, Rana gets the upper hand and manages to land a clean hit on Satella. However, Satella quickly recovers and activates the double Acel skill, which she uses to counter Rana's next strike. Seeing this sends chills down Atia's spine, because she never expected Satella to be so fast. Rana falls to the ground and realizes that she'll have to go all out because Satella is strong. When she recovers, Satella charges at her and lands a nasty attack, but Rana tanks it and replies with an energy-infused punch that renders Satella useless. As Atia sees this, she realizes that both Satella and Rana will be a problem because they are using overpowered skills as mere second-year students. Much to her surprise, Satella recovers and tells Rana that she hasn't given up yet. As they are about to fight again, Kazuya barges in and asks what's going on. As he gets filled in, he explains to Rana that Satella is his partner and that Satella isn't using him for his power. To prove his point, he reveals that he was the one itching to become Satella's partner. Just then, Atia reveals herself alongside Creo and Arnett, and they're irritated because things didn't go the way she planned. Rana is confused and wonders what's going on. So Atia reveals that she tricked her into thinking that Satella was using Kazuya. She says she wanted Rana to beat up Satella for disrespecting the third-year students, but now she'll have to take matters into her hands. While listening, Satella gets fed up and tells her to shut up because she's tired of her empty threats. Seeing that Satella is down to fight, Atia tells her to pick either Arnett or Creo as her opponent, but Satella says she'll take them both at once. Arnett is excited to hear this because she wants to teach Satella a lesson, and Creo is on board with the 2-on-1 match. However, Rana cuts in and says she's fighting too because of Atia's manipulation attempt on her. Kazuya tries to stop her from fighting, so Arnett gets fed up with him and knocks him out with a punch. Seeing Kazuya unconscious, Satella gets pissed and attacks Arnett for knocking him out, but Arnett easily blocks. Watching from the back, Rana is convinced that Satella isn't using Kazuya for his powers because she's fighting to protect him. She notices as Arnett lands a speed strike that Satella can barely keep up with and wonders what kind of skill that is. Before she knows it, Creo pulls up behind her and succeeds in landing nasty hits. When she tries to return the favor, Creo overwhelms her with her raw power and then finishes her off with her clones attacking from all angles. Seeing how easily Rana got defeated, Satella decides to activate her Acel skill, or else she's cooked. Despite the speed boost, Arnett easily sees through her attacks and counters with speed strikes that leave Satella lying on the floor. While Satella is trying to recover, Arnett mocks her because she's been attacking her afterimage since the beginning of their fight. Hearing this, Satella knows Arnett isn't bluffing because she now realizes that Arnett is using the double Acel skill. Despite knowing that she's at a disadvantage, she swears that she'll never give up or take orders from anyone anymore. However, as she charges to fight, Arnett smirks because she can see her every move, so she attacks her from all angles and leaves her bleeding on the floor. Atia is excited to see Satella this week, thinking that she has learned her lesson. She offers to take Satella to the infirmary under the condition that she begs for her life and apologizes for defying the third-year students, but Satella refuses. Hearing this pisses off Atia to the point where she tells Arnett and Creo to destroy Satella's implanted stigmata. The girls are skeptical about doing this because Satella might suffer brain damage from the procedure, and they'll get kicked out of the academy. However, Atia says they've come too far to back down, and she's already willing to accept the academy's punishment. In the meantime, Satella is lying weak on the floor, recalling the time when her mother was still alive. Back then, she was the illegitimate daughter of Howard L. Bridget, the head of the L. Bridget family. Her mother took her to the family mansion after many years because she was ill and couldn't afford the bills. When Satella arrived at the mansion, Olivia, her stepmother, wasn't welcoming because she promised never to accept her as a member of the family. Satella's stepsister, Violet, was the exception because she was good to Satella, while her brother, Louis, was a narcissistic fellow. He loathed Satella and wanted to use her as his doll. One day, he treated Satella like a slave, and when Violet complained, her mother, Olivia, yelled at her for taking Satella's side. So one night, while Satella was crying in her room, Louis sneaked in and made her accept that she was his doll. He promised to prevent Satella's mom from getting kicked out of the house unless she agreed to his terms, so Satella was forced to accept. From there, Louis started touching her, and she hated it. When she finally complained to her mother, the sick woman told her to bear with it because they had no future if they were kicked out of the house, and it would only make her suffering worse. Years passed and Satella kept up with Louis's exploits, but one day, Violet walked in on them and was shocked at what her brother was doing. She smacked Louis in the face, but this act got Satella sent out of the mansion. Time went on and Satella enrolled in the academy, until one day she heard that her mother was in the hospital and nearing death. When she ran to see her mother, the woman apologized for all the bad things she had to endure at the mansion. She told Satella that she doesn't have to put up with it anymore because her time is already up, and she also warned Satella against losing to anyone or accepting defeat. After saying these words, Satella's mom passed on, leaving Satella in tears. Presently, she recalls her mother's last wish and forces herself to get up from the floor. As she activates her powers once more, Arnett and the other girls are shocked because she can now use wings of light. Just then, Creo warns Arnett about an incoming strike, but it's too late because Satella has already gotten her. Satella follows up with a nasty kick that slams Arnett into the wall, so Creo decides to retaliate. Before she knows it, Rana recovers and attacks her from the back. While Satella is fighting Arnett, Atia watches closely and can't believe her eyes because Satella is moving faster than Arnett. From Arnett's perspective, Satella has lost it and is fighting her with everything she's got. She tries to use her Assault skill to at least run, but Satella catches up to her, uses the triple Assault skill, attacks her from all directions, and leaves her helpless on the floor. As for Creo, Rana blocks all her strikes and finishes her off with a deadly hit. Seeing that her mates are down, Atia decides to fight Satella and Rana, but her mates recover and tell her to stand down. They feel insulted because mere second-year students defeated them, but before they can fight, Chiffon arrives with Tixie and tells them to stand down. Although she reminds them that the Academy's rules are absolute, Arnett says she doesn't care and then proceeds to attack Satella. Tixie steps in to stop her, but when she proves stubborn, she finds herself weak and realizes that Chiffon raced behind her and landed a swift hit. Creo and Atia are shocked to see this, but they realize it's because Chiffon is the Academy's #1 and they shouldn't expect less. They then agree to stop fighting, so Satella uses the opportunity to take Kazuya to the infirmary. At night, Chiffon confronts Elizabeth, a third-year student, and apologizes because she's the one behind all the attacks on Satella. When she insists she isn't going to back down, Chiffon points out that Satella has defeated the 4th-ranked third-year student and that it's unreasonable not to acknowledge that she's strong. She highlights that using brute force on Satella wouldn't work, but also mentions that the principal said that dark days are coming. Later that night, Kazuya wakes up in the infirmary and finds Rana and Satella waiting on him. He apologizes for intervening in yesterday's fight, even though he knew he couldn't do anything about it. Satella is pissed at him for doing something that's stupid because she wouldn't forgive herself if something happens to him, though she doesn't say this part out loud. As she leaves the room, Rana tells Kazuya that his little heroic act has made her fall more in love with him, and she'll fight to make him her partner no matter what. A few days later, Hiragi tells Kazuya about an upcoming prom event that is often held once a year. Arthur looks forward to this prom event tomorrow because the first years will be allowed to participate, and he's dying to attend. Hiragi mentions that the hottest girls will compete to be the prom queen via a beauty pageant, and Elizabeth was last year's prom queen. Hearing this, Kazuya isn't surprised because Elizabeth is hotter than the sun, and he looks lost staring at her while she eats. Hiragi notices Kazuya glazing Elizabeth and wonders if he's a thirsty playboy because he has Satella already. She asks if something is going on between them, so Kazuya claims everything is cool, but it's been days since he last spoke to her. Later, Elizabeth summons Atia and her girls and advises them to refrain from attacking Satella because they couldn't defeat her. She then says she's interested to see Satella and Rana's full potential because the principal has said that a storm is coming and now isn't the best time to be fighting amongst themselves. Although this makes sense, Atia isn't pleased with standing down, so she decides that she'll punish Satella without laying a finger on her. In the meantime, Satella is looking for Kazuya to ask him to be her date for the prom event. As she finds him, she notices that Rana is trying to shoot her shot, but doesn't leave because she isn't sharing. Since they both want the same man, they start arguing about who gets to keep him, so Kazuya says he wants Satella. He explains to Rana that he already wanted to ask Satella out, leaving Satella shocked. Rana accepts defeat and assures Kazuya that she's still after him. not before kissing him on the cheek and walking away. This little act almost makes Satella suffer a heart attack, but before walking away, she tells Kazuya to meet her during prom night. The following day, Miyabi's partners are dressing her up in the hottest fit in the history of anime, because she wants to be prom queen. Meanwhile, Satella is thinking of what to wear because she doesn't want to lose to Rana, but she's shy to show some skin. While she's switching outfits, Kazuya shows up to see her, but she falls on top of him as she tries to get the door. In this position, Kazuya mistakenly massages her jugs, but that's when Adia arrives and roasts them for being degenerates. All the while, other students are outside preparing for the prom event, and Hiragi is worried because she's yet to find a partner. When searching for the perfect guy, she notices that she hasn't seen Kazuya and wonders what's up with him. At the start of the event, Yumi and Elise watch the show from a room, but they notice that the principal isn't coming. As Chiffon says she invited her, both instructors realize that the principal didn't show up because she's noticed weird dimensional vibrations as of late, and now they think it might be related to the Nova. Back at the female dorm, Adia challenges Satella to a contest, so Kazuya assumes it's a physical fight and steps in to defend Satella. However, Adia tells him to rest because she isn't in the mood to fight. She tells Satella to take part in the prom queen contest and exposes her secret outfit to show that Satella doesn't stand a chance against her. Realizing Atia is serious, she accepts the challenge and jiggles her bells to show that she also means business. Atia is intimidated by this because she lost the battle against puberty, so she runs off swearing to win by any means necessary. Outside at the prom event, lots of hot chicks show off their outfits to win votes from guys. When it's Ganesa's turn, all the men of culture gather to worship her greatness, but they almost lose it when it's Rana's turn because she's giving OnlyFans vibe. Behind the stage, Satella is having a mental breakdown because she's too shy to get on stage, looking hot. She begins regretting why she accepted Adia's challenge, but Kazuya tells her it's already too late because she's going up very soon. Soon, Rana arrives because she's going up on stage next, but Kazuya is blown away by her outfit because it allows easy access. Atia shows up and starts mocking Satella for giving up so easily, but she swallows another bullet when Rana jiggles her bells to show that she's the preferred candidate to win. Immediately, Atia is called on stage, so she heads off and poses like a 2D model and captivates her audience. Once it's Rana's turn, she shows everyone that she's giggity, which causes all the boys and their sticks to rise. Up next is Satella, who summons the courage to go up on stage for Kazuya's sake. Despite her confidence, she struggles to strike any pleasing pose, but the guys love it because she looks innocent. After the performance, Satella runs backstage because she's uncomfortable, but Kazuya tells her she did well. Lastly, Elizabeth is called on stage, and as usual, all the boys trip for her. With that, the pageant session ends, so the students pair up with their partners for a ball dance. As expected, Kazuya pairs up with Satella, who is still worried about her innocent performance during the beauty pageant. Kazuya tells her not to worry about it because he is happy she went on stage for his sake. These words make Satella start feeling butterflies in her belly, so she decides to ask Kazuya to spend the night with her. But before she can, the event's moderator starts announcing the top 5 girls on the prom queen list. 5th place is Miyabi, and she's happy. But that smile gets flushed down the toilet when it's announced that she's disqualified. Ganesa becomes 5th place, Rana is 4th, Atia is 3rd, but Elizabeth is shockingly 2nd. Surprisingly, Satella is announced as 1st place, and Atia can't believe it. Since she's lost to Satella, she heads off and meets the organizers of the show, telling them to make Satella wear an unthinkable outfit as a reward for being this year's prom queen. Afterward, the girls drag Satella away to the changing room under the guise that she needs to wear the queen's outfit. The next thing she knows, she's shaking on stage with a fit worse than Era Stars, and all the boys are tripping. Seeing this, Atia smiles as the ultimate checkmate is yet to come. She tells type-over friends that Satella's outfit is the type that gets transparent when exposed to light for a while. On stage, Satella notices this effect and tries to cover up, so Kazuya pulls the greatest English or Spanish in the history of anime recap and dips with Satella into the night. The following week, a girl named Cassie from the Academy's East Branch completes a simulation training where she takes out 2 high-level Nova targets with incredible speed. Kazuya spectates her fighting technique and realizes why she's called the Godspeed of the East, and it turns out she's this branch's #1 student. All the while, Satella is in the West Branch, thinking about Kazuya because she misses him already. She snaps out of it when Rana catches her spacing out, but claims that she isn't thinking about Kazuya, even though it's written over her face. Back at the East Branch, Principal Margaret introduces Cassie to Kazuya and tells him that she has the heroic stigmata, explaining that she inherited them from Kazuya's later sister. Cassie confirms this and says she was glad when she heard that Kazuya was enrolling at the Academy's West Branch. Seeing her childish personality, Kazuya finds it hard to believe that she's this branch's rank 1 student, but he compliments her skills because he saw her take down 2 Nova while training. However, Cassie reveals that she wants to retire and hand over her stigmata to someone who is worthy because she wants to live a simple life, writing novels. Deep down, she's expecting Kazuya to judge her for pursuing something so irrelevant, but that's not the case. Instead, Kazuya commends her for pursuing her dreams, and even promises to read her novels when she releases them. After Kazuya leaves for the West Branch, Elena, Cassie's instructor, is visibly disappointed because Cassie hasn't changed her mind about quitting the academy. While on the flight back to the West Branch, Principal Margaret brings up Cassie's, saying that her talents rivaled that of Kazuya's later sister, Kazuha. She explains that Kazuha had 20 stigmata implemented in her body, but Cassie, who inherited some of them, has a compatibility rate of 90%, and she's the first person in the world with such records. Back at the East Branch, Cassie tells Elena that she only joined the academy to help with her father's political career, and she doesn't feel like she's the best candidate to lead her comrades in this war against Novas. When asked why, she explains that she doesn't have the true strength of the gifted females, which includes an iron-forged heart that is authentic and enforces a strong will. She knew she lacked these qualities when she faced Satella when she was still here in the East Branch. Still en route to the West Branch, Kazuya learns that there are other girls aside from Cassie who inherited his late sister's stigmata, and one of them is Satella. This revelation makes him realize why Satella looked like his late sister the first time they met, but Margaret asks to confirm if he's been baptized by Satella just yet. When he says no, seems a bit relieved because of the issue Satella had with her previous partner. Hearing this, Kazuya figures it's the rumor about Satella beating her previous partner to a point near death, but Margaret clarifies that the dude was at fault for pressuring Satella and he confessed to it. She also adds that he would have died if Cassie wasn't there when Satella attacked him, leaving shocked. In the past, when Cassie confronted Satella over attacking her male partner, Cassie knew she was stronger than Satella, but she was terrified during their fight because no matter how many times she struck Satella down, the chick would never acknowledge defeat, and it took the help of other senior students to take her down. Presently, at the Academy's East Branch, the emergency alarms go off, signaling the presence of Novas. Immediately, Cassie and the other senior combatants are ordered to suit up and be on standby for deployment. Soon, the students are informed that 4 Novas have appeared close to the Academy, and they'll have to defeat it. Over at the West Branch, Margaret receives the same intel, and can't believe her eyes because Novas only attack one at a time. At the east flank, military-grade choppers engage the Novas with multiple missiles, but it deals no damage. In response, the Novas shoot a powerful beam blast that vaporizes the choppers upon contact. With this military squad gone, the Nation's defense requests help from the Academy's East Branch, so the senior comrades are grouped and ordered for deployment. A bit later, the students arrive at the battlefield and quickly spread out as the operation begins. And the first move is to deploy decoys whose job is to keep the Nova distracted while the strikers move in close enough to attack. The decoys push forward with support from their limiters and manage to draw the Nova's attention, which opens a path for the strikers to rush in and deliver heavy hits. Cassie steps in as the finisher and prepares to end the fight, but the Nova reacts instantly and swats her away like she is nothing more than a mosquito. The impact leaves her stunned because even her quadruple axle fails to overwhelm the creature, and the commanders at East Genetics immediately try to organize another coordinated assault. Before they can regain momentum, the Nova suddenly unleashes a massive blast that tears through the battlefield and wipes out a large portion of the fighters. The commanders quickly realize they are facing a type of Nova they have never encountered before, and the situation is spiraling out of control, so they send an urgent request to the west for reinforcements. Back at the academy, Satella overhears a group of third-year students celebrating the fact that they do not have to join the fight alongside the fourth years, and their carefree attitude only fuels her frustration as she storms down the hall and accidentally bumps into Rana. Rana has no idea what is going on, so Chiffon and Taishi explain that a battle is unfolding in the east and that Satella is furious because she cannot do anything to help. Not long after, Satella stands nearby and overhears Kazuya talking with Hiragi and Arthur, and he explains that she is special because she carries the heroic stigmata that once belonged to his sister. He also mentions how he mistook Satella for his sister the first time they met, and the two listening to him quickly jump to the conclusion that he only partnered with her. Hearing that hits Satella hard, and the anger boiling inside her, causes her to drop the stack of Burger Queen patties she had planned to share with him before she storms away. Meanwhile, the battlefield in the east begins to look like something out of a nightmare as most of the fighters are left in a brutal and bloody state. And Cassie soon finds herself caught by the Nova's writhing tentacles. The creature shuts down her Pandora abilities completely, and every attempt she makes to activate Quadruple XL fails as the Nova absorbs her along with several other Pandora into its massive body. At the academy, Satella cannot stop replaying what she overheard earlier, and the thoughts keep weighing on her as she runs up to the roof, where the pressure finally breaks and she collapses into tears. Yumi and Elise stand frozen with their jaws hanging open after witnessing something that makes the Nova look far more calculating than anyone expected. Turns out, these creatures are not acting like the mindless enemies they have fought before, and their movements suggest a level of strategy that catches everyone completely off guard. Then, an emergency alert suddenly reports that the Nova have vanished from every detection system, disappearing so completely that it feels as if they simply slipped out of existence. At the academy, Satella stands in the shower while Kazuya's words keep replaying in her mind again and again, and she cannot shake the frustration building inside her. The quiet moment ends when alarms suddenly erupt across the entire academy, filling the halls with blaring warnings that signal an emergency. Back at Mission Control, Yume immediately orders the fourth-year fighters to return to base, yet Elise calmly points out that they are too far away and will not arrive in time if the situation escalates. Sister Margaret then proposes a troubling possibility and suggests that the Nova may have used the battle in the east as a distraction while their true objective lies in the west. Yumi wastes no time after hearing the theory and orders a full mobilization, triggering a level 1 alert that spreads through the academy and calls every available Pandora and limiter to gather in the auditorium. The announcement moves everyone into action as students rush to prepare for the coming battle. During the assembly, Yume explains that waiting for the fourth years is no longer an option, so the remaining forces must be reorganized immediately. She assigns the third years to guard the academy gates, while the second years remain on standby and wait for further instructions depending on how the situation unfolds. When the briefing ends and the others leave, Satella remains behind, still deep in thought about everything that has happened. Kazuya walks over and suggests that they go to the waiting room together, yet she calmly tells him that she intends to face the Nova on her own. When he offers to accompany her anyway, she refuses and makes it clear that she does not want him involved. Rana suddenly arrives and confidently offers to take Kazuya with her instead, while also telling Satella that pushing him away only shows weakness. Satella quickly turns to face her and firmly states that she refuses to lose to anyone. Rana accepts the challenge and begins circling her while both girls draw their Volt weapons, and the tension between them rises as if a fight could break out at any moment. Before either of them can attack, Kazuya steps between them and scolds them for letting their emotions take control during such a critical moment. Elsewhere, Yumi and Elise lead the available fourth years as they move through the city in search of the Nova. When Elise's squad finally reaches their target, they notice the creature's body moving in a disturbing way that immediately raises suspicion. As they observe more closely, they realize the Nova is releasing the Pandora it absorbed earlier in the east, forcing the battered fighters back out of its body one after another. When the Pandora who were expelled from the Nova begin to stand up again, everyone immediately notices something disturbing about them. Massive stigmata marks now cover their chests and backs, and the transformation gives them an unnatural presence that sets them apart from ordinary fighters. Sister Margaret quickly labels this condition the Nova form, giving a name to the terrifying state these corrupted Pandora have entered. The enemy Pandora wastes no time after recovering and instantly activate acceleration, rushing toward the academy with incredible speed. Seeing their direction, Elise orders the members of her squad to intercept them before they can reach the school gates, while she remains behind to confront the Nova alone. Elsewhere in the city, Yume and her team are locked in a fierce battle against another Nova when new information reaches her. Reports confirm that the enemy Pandora are moving toward the academy and that Elise has stayed behind to fight by herself. Determined to help her as quickly as possible, Yume pushes the attack harder, and when her strikers finally manage to break through the Nova's core shield, she prepares to end the fight without delay so she can rush to Elise's side. Back at the academy's east gate, Miyabi stands guard with several other third years, though she openly complains about being assigned to security duty instead of participating in the main battle. Two nearby Pandora quietly comment on her attitude, clearly annoyed by her constant frustration. Their conversation ends abruptly when several enemy Pandora blast straight through the gate with powerful beams, destroying the entrance as if it offered no resistance at all. The sudden breach forces Sister Margaret to issue an emergency order for all remaining third-year fighters to gather at the location immediately. After hearing the mobilization command, Satella and Rana both take off toward the gate despite Kazuya calling out for them to stop. At the destroyed entrance, Miyabi and the other defenders watch as the enemy Pandora move past them without hesitation, ignoring them completely as they advance deeper into the academy grounds. Miyabi attempts to stop them, but Cassie suddenly releases a devastating beam attack that wipes out the nearby Pandora and their limiters in a single strike. From the command center, the operators continue tracking the enemy Pandora and soon realize that their destination is the Ravensborn nucleocheat. Recognizing the danger, Sister Margaret immediately sends the strongest third-year fighters to intercept them before they can reach it. Meanwhile, Kazuya finally confronts Satella about the distance she has been keeping from him. In response, she reveals the fear that has been weighing on her mind, admitting that she believes she may only be standing beside him as a replacement for his sister. She explains that he only chose her because she carries the same stigmata that once belonged to his sister, and the thought makes her feel like nothing more than a replacement. To her, it seems as if she is simply standing in someone else's place rather than being valued for who she truly is. Kazuya immediately tries to correct the misunderstanding and begins to explain his real feelings, yet before he can finish, a radio transmission suddenly interrupts them. The message calls for Satella, Ganesa, and Rana to report to the Ravensborn nucleocheat at once, forcing them to abandon the conversation and rush toward their new assignment. When they arrive at the facility, Sister Margaret meets them and quickly escorts them down into the sub-basement. As they move through the secured area, she explains that if the third-year fighters outside fail to stop the enemy Pandora, the responsibility of protecting this place will fall entirely on them. Kazuya asks what exactly they are guarding with such urgency, and Sister Margaret answers by revealing that the location houses the holy remains. She then leads them deeper into the chamber, where the remains are kept. Inside the room stands a glass container that preserves the body of a woman, and Sister Margaret calmly identifies her as Maria Lancelot. The sight immediately leaves a heavy impression on everyone present. After stepping outside the chamber, Satella explains that these holy remains belong to the original mother of all Pandora, making the location one of the most important places connected to their existence. Back inside, Sister Margaret shares critical information about the true nature of the stigmata implanted within Pandora. She explains that the material used to create them is the same substance found inside Nova cores, which means there is always a possibility that a Pandora could transform into something similar to a Nova. She also reveals that this very fate once happened to Kazuha, which is why the number of people allowed to receive stigmata is strictly limited. Once the corridors lock down, the operators release knockout gas into the sealed area in an attempt to stop them before they can advance any further. However, the enemy Pandora respond by unleashing the same powerful beam technique that the Nova used during the battle in the east, blasting through the barriers and continuing forward toward their objective. Back on the urban battlefield, Elise continues fighting desperately against a Nova that seems determined to capture her and add her to the many victims already absorbed into its body. The battle pushes her to the limit, but the situation changes when Yumi finally arrives with reinforcements, allowing the two of them to face the creature together and continue the intense fight. Inside headquarters, the command staff carefully monitor the movement of the enemy Pandora and continue guiding them through the building like pieces on a board. Their path is redirected toward level 8, where Ingrid, Adia, Creo, and Arnett are already positioned and waiting to intercept them. At the same time, Sister Margaret broadcasts a message to every Pandora within the facility, stressing that the enemy must never reach the holy remains. She explains that the research surrounding the remains is still incomplete, and if the Nova were to obtain that knowledge, it could easily shift the balance of the entire war. Before long, the enemy Pandora arrive at the prepared ambush point where Ingrid's team launches their attack. However, the corrupted fighters immediately activate acceleration and rush past them with incredible speed, forcing the limiters to deploy freezing in order to slow them down. The plan does not work as expected because the enemy Pandora used their stigmata to break free from the freezing effect in the same way a Nova would. With their abilities neutralized, the defending Pandora are forced into direct combat. During the chaos, Cassie and Milena manage to slip through the fighting and continue deeper into the facility. Ingrid attempts to pursue them, but Sister Margaret orders her team to remain in place and focus on the enemies already engaging them. The control center then redirects Cassie and Milena toward another defense point, where Elizabeth is waiting. When they reach her position, Cassie immediately tries to activate freezing, but Elizabeth's limiter quickly cancels the effect, allowing her to concentrate her attack on the stigmata embedded in Milena's chest. Her strike shatters the stigmata, and the transformation immediately ends as Mylena collapses and returns to her normal human state. Elizabeth quickly shares this discovery with the others, explaining that destroying the stigmata to their original condition. Following her lead, the defenders begin targeting the stigmata during their battles. Cassie becomes the only one who manages to continue moving forward. Before Elizabeth can confront her directly, Cassie drills through the floor and escapes toward another part of the facility, heading straight for Kazuya's location. She appears suddenly and drives her weapon through Rana's shoulder, pinning her against the wall and immobilizing her in an instant. When Cassie turns toward Kazuya and Satella, both of them are stunned to recognize their former ally standing before them. As Cassie begins pulling her weapon back and dragging Rana closer, Rana quickly activates her specialized gloves and launches a powerful strike that sends Cassie crashing across the room. Cassie quickly recovers and charges again using acceleration, and this time Rana and Satella match her speed to meet the attack. Ganessa, unable to use acceleration, tries to assist by casting her chains to restrain Cassie. The attempt draws Cassie's attention immediately, and she lunges toward Ganessa with her blade aimed to strike. Just before the attack lands, Rana intercepts the weapon and stops the strike in time. Kazuya's words finally reach Satella, and hearing his determination makes her realize that she misunderstood his intentions all along. She had believed that he only stayed by her side because she carried his sister's stigmata, yet she now understands that he chose her as his partner regardless of that connection. With that realization settling in, she promises that once the battle is over, she will give him the baptism he has been asking for. Nearby, Cassie suddenly cries out in pain again as the power of her freezing ability erupts violently, sending Kazuya crashing into the wall before she shifts her focus back to Satella and prepares to deliver a final attack. Just as the situation seems ready to explode into another clash, Cassie struggles against her own body and begins fighting the control of the stigmata. With clear effort, she begs Satella to end her suffering before the power completely consumes her. Instead of fading, the stigmata shines even brighter across her body, forcing Cassie to scream in agony as the energy intensifies beyond her control. Moments later, her entire body disappears without warning, vanishing from the room as if she had simply dissolved into the air. Meanwhile, on level 8, Ingrid and her team finally reach Elizabeth and find her injured after the earlier confrontation. She explains that during the confusion of the fight, Mylena managed to escape before anyone could stop her. Almost at the same moment, Sister Margaret receives a critical report confirming that Mylena has already reached the chamber containing the holy remains. At the chamber containing the holy remains, Chiffon and Tichy are already standing guard as the final line of defense. Their presence ensures that the chamber is not left unprotected while the rest of the facility battles the invading enemies. Elsewhere, the truth behind Cassie's disappearance becomes clear. As she screamed in agony earlier, the stigmata inside her body shone intensely before releasing a massive explosion of energy. The sudden blast spreads through the area with overwhelming force, and the sheer power of it makes Satella wonder if such destruction is what once wiped out ancient civilizations. Before the shockwave can reach her, Ganessa suddenly jumps forward and shields her, taking the entire impact with her own body. The explosion tears through the room and fills the air with smoke and debris. When the dust finally settles, Satella looks on in horror and sees that Ganessa has suffered catastrophic injuries. One of her arms has been torn away, and a large portion of her torso has been destroyed by the blast. Despite her condition, Ganessa first asks whether Satella managed to avoid the attack before coughing up blood and collapsing onto the floor. Arthur immediately rushes to her side and demands to know why she chose to take the hit. With fading strength, Ganessa explains that protecting others is the responsibility of a Pandora. Hearing this, Arthur lifts her onto his back and begs her to stay conscious as he carries her toward the medical bay. However, after only a single step, his legs give out under the shock of the moment and he collapses, dropping her to the ground. Apologizing desperately, he quickly gathers her into his arms and holds her close while pleading for her to answer him. Kazuya gently tells him that she is already gone, yet Arthur refuses to accept the truth and continues clutching her lifeless body as he breaks down in grief. At that moment, Cassie suddenly reappears and attempts to attack Arthur from behind. Satella immediately moves between them, forcing Cassie to jump back and halt her advance. Looking at Ganessa's body, Satella admits that even though they were never particularly close, the sight fills her with overwhelming anger. That emotion explodes outward as a surge of power bursts from her body, triggering her Nova transformation. Cassie attempts to strike during the transformation, but Satella senses the attack and blocks it before it can land. Cassie then activates her own quadruple acceleration and launches another assault, yet Satella matches the speed with her own quadruple acceleration and overwhelms her opponent. In the next exchange, Satella cuts off Cassie's arms before slamming her to the ground and tearing the stigmata from her body. Once the stigmata is removed, Cassie regains control of herself and weakly begs Satella to end her life. Satella prepares to deliver the final blow, but before she can act, Kazuya rushes forward and wraps his arms around her from behind while pleading with her to stop. Kazuya reminds Satella that Cassie is still their friend and insists that she does not deserve to be eliminated. For a moment it seems that his words have reached her, yet she suddenly tries to strike Cassie again. Kazuya tightens his grip and holds her firmly until the weapon slips from her hand and the violent trance finally fades. As she turns to face him, Ganessa begins to stir again. Arthur immediately calls for Kazuya's help, and the two of them rush to check on her condition. While they focus on Ganessa, Cassie looks at Satella and asks why she chose not to finish her. Satella answers honestly, explaining that she could not bring herself to destroy Kazuya's hope. Not long after, Elizabeth and the other fighters arrive at the scene. Elizabeth announces that the situation has been resolved, and almost at the same moment the control center confirms that all enemy Pandora inside the facility have been neutralized. Sister Margaret then asks about the remaining Nova, and the report states that only one is left and that half of its core has already been destroyed. Before Elise and Yumi can deliver the final strike, the Nova suddenly disappears in front of them. The control center immediately begins scanning the area in search of it, but inside the chamber with the holy remains, Chiffon notices that the stigmata on Milena's chest has started pulsing with light. Just as she attempts to contact the control center to confirm whether the Nova is still active, the missing creature suddenly materializes inside the chamber. Satella and the others rush in as soon as the alarm is raised, and Sister Margaret orders them to stop the Nova from obtaining the holy remains. The fighters prepare to engage, but the stigmata that Satella had been holding suddenly begins merging into her body. She screams in pain, and Kazuya runs to her side as he realizes what is happening. Within moments, her body enters a Nova-like state and releases a powerful freezing field that immobilizes the other girls. Taking advantage of the situation, the Nova moves toward the holy remains. All of the girls, except Rana, activate their Pandora modes in an attempt to move within the freezing field, yet the overwhelming strength of Satella's freezing cancels their abilities and leaves them paralyzed again. Meanwhile, Satella finds herself trapped within her own consciousness. Surrounded by darkness, she calls out desperately for someone to help her. When she finally calls Kazuya's name, he responds by casting a counter-freezing and telling her that he believes in her completely. Hearing his voice, the trapped Satella begins running toward it. Along the way, she encounters Kazuha, who calmly tells her to use the power of the stigmata to protect the people she cares about. At that moment, radiant wings of light appear on Satella's back, and the stigmata controlling her shatters into fragments, freeing her from its influence. The Nova witnesses the change, but Kazuya immediately casts freezing on the creature, allowing the other girls to weaken it with their attacks. With the enemy finally vulnerable, Satella steps forward and delivers the decisive strike by destroying its core with her blade. With the Nova defeated, Kazuya rushes to check on Satella. She tells him that during the struggle, she encountered his sister. When she tries to stand, her strength gives out, and she collapses onto him, thanking him for helping her regain control. Only then does she realize that her transformation left her completely unclothed, and embarrassment quickly overwhelms her while the stunned Kazuya begins bleeding from his nose. Several days later, Kazuya and Sister Margaret stand by as Cassie and Milena prepare to leave. As the helicopter lifts off, Cassie tells Milena that she intends to join the Chevalier Reserves. Milena asks if that means she has abandoned her dream of becoming a novelist, but Cassie assures her that she still plans to pursue it alongside her new duty. Back at West Genetics Academy, Rana, Hiragi, and Kazuya visit the medical facility to see Ganessa and are surprised to discover that Satella is already there. When they enter the room, she suddenly becomes flustered, drops the flowers she brought, and rushes out in embarrassment. Later, Sister Margaret contacts a scientist named Jengo Awai. After the call ends, he reflects on the recent events and calmly states that everything that has happened so far is only the beginning. That's the end of today's video. If you stayed until now, comment down below sweet milk, give me 2K likes, and I'll post your favorite model. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see another recap like this. Peace.